This episode of Pole Obsession is proudly sponsored by the Victorian and South Australian Pole Championships and the Western Australian Pole Championships. Competition season is well and truly here. On the 31st of July, Melbourne hosts the Victorian and South Australian Pole Championships, followed by the Western Australian Pole Championships in Perth on the 15th of August. These events feature the very best athletes from each state battling it out for a coveted place in the Australian Pole Championships. If you haven't got your tickets yet, now's the time. Jump onto those Instagram pages and you'll find the ticket link in the bios, and we'll see you there.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Pole Obsession with me, Felix, and the beautiful Elizabeth. We have with us a very special guest, Tammy.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for being here with us. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell those who are listening a little bit about who you are and how you came into the pole industry?
Yes. So I have been around for a very, very long time. I was a stripper. I am from Vancouver, Canada. I was a stripper for like 11 or 12 years. And then I opened my own pole studio. So, we can talk about why later, but I opened my own studio. I competed at the very first Miss Pole Dance World in Amsterdam in 2005. And I started the Canadian Pole Fitness Association, and I'm still running my studios today. So I've seen it all. I've been around for a long time. I've run competitions, I've opened studios, I've done online training, I've done teacher training. I've been around for a long time.
I knew that you were around for a long time. I didn't know that long. So when did you actually start stripping?
Oh, okay, so about the mid-90s, I started stripping.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your first studio?
My first studio was 2004.
Oh, that sort of goes just after the first one in Australia then.
Yes.
2003, was the first one in Australia. So you're just after that.
Yeah. So, and I'm so excited to get into it with you because I feel like there's a lot of things historically that I would love to because here I am on this side of the world. I know how it started in Canada and the US, but I don't know how it started. I mean, I have listened to the podcast, and of course I know who Bobby is. And so I'm assuming it started with Bobby for the most part over in Australia. But I mean, I think I listened to the podcast with Susie Q just recently. And I think the question, I don't know if you've ever found out the answer, but who or why Bobby opened her studio or how she started dancing. I think there was a question that was left unanswered about Bobby.
I wanted to know who taught Bobby.
Yes. Yeah. And did we find out?
No, we haven't, but we're going to. Don't you worry, we'll get to it.
Okay. Well, I mean, if Bobby was in that same kind of era that I am, nobody did. I think that's the answer, right?
Yeah.
Nobody did. There was no studios to learn from. So we just learned. I mean, I danced all over the world. So I danced in Japan, I danced in Greece, I danced in London, England, I danced in New York. I went everywhere. And so that's kind of just how I learned. In Japan, the club would open at like 7 p.m. and no one would come in till like 10 p.m. So for 3 hours, we would just kind of play on the pole and teach each other stuff. And, we just self-taught for the most part.
Were you doing tricks or were you just dancing around? Because a lot of the girls nowadays don't do tricks. They just sort of dance around the pole to make money, be sexy. Basically, that's how they're making their money. Were you guys doing tricks back then or not?
We were. So Vancouver was kind of really well known as being like one of the biggest showgirl, venues or cities in North America at the time. So, I mean, I remember I started, I mean, I can tell you quickly how I started. It's kind of a long story, but we've got some time. I was going to school. I think I just graduated and I was teased a lot because I was super flat chested. So I remember that I was like, as soon as I get some money, I am buying boobs. So I decided to go to college out of high school. And so I got my student loan and I was like, "Ooh, okay." So I was excited. I spent my student loan on boobs is what I did. And then I actually had to work through school. So one of the jobs that I got was in a strip bar. I had never been to a strip bar in my life. Like I just never thought of it. So here I am waitressing in a strip bar. And these girls I can't even tell you, they were like gymnasts. They were walking on their hands. They were doing backflips. There was like duos. They were doing pole moves. They were doing crazy, crazy stuff. And now when I say pole moves, I mean, there was no rainbow Marchenkos, but they were doing pole moves. And so it was amazing. So I had my new boobs and the customers were like, "You should get up there." And I was like, "No, I really don't want, anyone to know what I'm doing." So there was a competition and there was a female, who worked for an agency. She was an agent and she's like, "Well, you could go somewhere. You could go to Japan or you could travel and no one would know and you'd make a lot of money." So I, naively jumped on a plane by myself to Japan. And that was the very first place that I ended up stripping.
How brave.
Yeah.
Wild.
Yeah. And it was very different there. So when you ask about pole moves, it was incredibly different. So in Vancouver, we had feature shows, we had stage shows. And in Japan, they did not. It was only VIP dancing. And most of the world, only the VIP girls, the private dancers, went up and did a few songs on the main stage, but never got paid. I mean, we just made our money on the floor. But Vancouver was very different. It was very show orientated.
Such a different world, isn't it? To like what pole is now, what it was back then, and like where it all sort of originated. I find this so fascinating. And you mentioned like going to Japan as well. I know that Bobby and her sister also went to Japan. Her sister
Yeah.
was him, and they were also in Japan. So I feel like there's something to explore there as well. Like what was going on in Japan, and is there some sort of magic in the water?
Well, I mean, the Japanese men, especially back then, loved gaijin, which is foreign women. So, there was a ton of money to be made.
Yeah.
So, yeah, at that point, there wasn't a lot of foreigners in Japan. In the late 90s, mid to late 90s, there wasn't. So, I mean, there was a lot of money to be made.
Wow.
Yeah. And so there was clubs and that's what they were. They were all foreign women. There was very few Japanese women that were stripping.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, the magic water was money.
There's money.
And we drank it all. Yes.
In Japan, you weren't doing any pole tricks or anything like that. So that's where Bobby was as well. So if you weren't doing any pole tricks, none of you learnt there then. So they would have been the same era as Bobby that you were there.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Late 90s, early 2000s, right? So we're putting some pieces together of this.
Yeah.
But if you didn't learn any pole tricks there, so you learned them in Canada.
So no, so in Japan we would play around and we'd learn, pretty simple pole tricks there, but mostly I learned them in Canada. Yeah.
So when you're in the clubs, there was always a pole in every club and everyone did some sort of trick on the poles.
Yeah. So so I mean, that was the thing. So even coming in to I think that it was so different from other parts of the world. I remember, I'll give you a quick story about when I competed in 2005 at the Worlds in Amsterdam. And so I think YouTube started in 2005. So there was nothing, there was really nothing to go by. And I had been incredibly successful as a stripper. I had massive costumes. I mean, I had like a Tigger costume where I would come out to the wonderful thing about Tiggers is Tigger's a wonderful thing. I was ridiculous. I had these really crazy costumes that were layered up and I had props and I had sparklers and it was a huge, huge show. So, oh gosh, where was I going with this? I'm just thinking about all my shows. So we had huge costumes in Vancouver. And so a lot of the pole moves that we did do were oh yeah, sorry. So I was very successful in being a stripper. And so it was like a little bubble. I call it when I lived in the bubble. So I thought I was, I was always very nice and everything, and I've always been humble. But I knew that I was a very, very good stripper. So when I went to the World in 2005, I really had no idea what to expect. I couldn't Google anything. There's no Instagram.
Yeah.
There was nothing. So I show up on the scene, and Pantera is there, and Raiko from Japan is there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember if Jamila was there or not. If she competed in the Amsterdam one, I don't think she did. I kind of, it was a long time ago. So it was so different because Pantera did so many different moves than we did on our side of the world. And I think that's the only reason that to be honest, that I got second place, because I was doing like moves that were totally different that I don't think anyone had really seen yet, because there was no YouTube, because there was no Instagram. Like the iguana. I remember, and I love Pantera, but I remember in practice, I did the iguana. I don't think she'd ever seen it before. And so she tried to do it on stage, and she couldn't. She doesn't have the shoulder flexibility to quite get there. And she had to like stop halfway through. I was like, that's karma for trying to steal my moves. You saw during practice. I'm like, she had so many moves. She didn't need to steal my moves. So I think my moves were so different. I actually won best pole tricks. Very undeserving, I will say. Pantera deserved to win pole tricks, hands down. Like, hands down. She was a beast.
She was, and so ahead of her time as well, right? Like the stuff that she was doing back then.
I literally just think that I got that because my moves were different.
Yeah.
That's all. Yeah.
Do you remember who else was there? Like, wow, there's such a
Alina
before you, Felix. You came the year after, yeah?
Well, I don't think there was a Worlds the year after. Because I think the next Worlds was like 2008, because something happened. Yeah, something happened with the owner. I don't know. Maybe Tammy, you know what happened with it, because I don't know. Something happened with the owner of the Worlds. Something. I don't remember. Yeah. And then there wasn't one for a while, and then there was one again.
Yeah. So John Benner was the one that organized the one in Amsterdam, and he was really dodgy. He was like, he said he was going to pay for people's hotel, and he was going to do this, and he was going to do that, and he like never paid for anything. I don't even know if he paid for the venue. Like, he was terrible. And so he just kind of went missing. And so I don't even know who. Honestly, I would love to know who he was or what he even had to do with pole dancing. I don't know. Yeah. So I know that it stopped for a few years, and then came Stephen K. Penny. They're the ones that picked up the Miss Pole Dance World. Yeah. And then they held it in Jamaica.
And, and I feel like it wasn't called Miss Pole Dance World anymore because they didn't want to be associated, and possibly there was like ownership issues there as well with the name of it. So it's called something else from then on.
Maybe.
And this was the very first pole dance competition in the world, the one that you were at, Tammy, right? Not the one that Kay Penny owned, but the other one. That was not the very first, or it was the very
first? That was the very first, yes.
Yeah. There was no Miss Pole, there was no nothing before that. That was the very first. And then I remember, because we interviewed Ness, who was partners with Bobby, and she said that's how they started, because he came to her and said, have you got any pole dancers that we can send there? Was it Miss Pole World? And then she was like, oh, we'll call it Miss Pole Australia.
Yeah. And then I started Miss Pole Dance Canada. So it all stemmed from John Benner, which I don't even know who this guy is or where he is.
Who are you, John?
I know.
John,
if you're listening
for
to
you,
us, John, we need to talk to you.
Yeah. What? Who is John?
I don't know.
We always leave a podcast with a question, don't we?
Yeah.
Right. Today's podcast is, who is John Benner?
Somebody tell us.
Yeah. Where is he now?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So and then that leads me into the Stephen K. Penny in Jamaica, and that's how I know Felix.
Oh, that was such a long time ago.
It was. So I was invited to perform and be a judge at that competition. So Stephen K. Penny flew me in, And still, I mean, I was so busy running my business. I don't even think that I was on YouTube trying to find anything out. I was still my own little bubble, doing my own thing, thinking that I was great, because now I've also walked away with best pole tricks and second in the world. So I'm like, I'm on top of the world. So I go, and I love it that I was so naive. I open the show by performing. So I performed to open that competition in Jamaica. And then I sat down to judge, thinking that I was great. And then I see Felix. I am so glad that I performed before and not after, because I think I would have been like, I'm good. I got a tummy ache. That was, and I think that this is like, it's so important because a lot of the people that competed in the 2005 and a lot of those like really, really early people that didn't really maybe stick around and create a name for themselves or just open their studios and did their own thing, like myself, they don't really get recognized very much. But they really are the, kind of the original pioneers, because a lot of them, like myself and Bobby, were strippers that took the risk to open the studios. And so, but I'm not downplaying, because what happened is when Felix and Janine and those girls showed up, they blew it up, right? I mean, that really took it to the next level. Yeah. So, I don't want to downplay, but a lot of people are like, they think it started with Felix and Janine, and that's where they think it started. But there is some history, obviously, before that.
Definitely before that. Like, we wouldn't have been able to do what we did if the A wasn't Pole Studios and if the B wasn't YouTube. Like, just the timing was very, like I always say, I'm just lucky that I'm well known because of the timing. Like, I was one of the first pole dancers on YouTube, which meant that, I was one of the only pole dancers on YouTube, which is why people know who I am, because that was the only access that we had back then to anything. And so I think you're exactly right. There's so much more that came before that isn't documented yet, which is why I think Elle and I are so like keen to like talk to people and like get the real history of what happened directly from like your mouth. Like, you saw it, you were there.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't want to downplay it. It wasn't just because of YouTube. It was because you were, can I swear? Can I swear on here?
Sure, go for it.
I have to, because there's no other word that describes Felix. You were fucking incredible. I mean, incredible. I mean, you're still incredible. But, YouTube could have existed for someone that was meh, but no. I mean, you like, okay, so let me just turn it around for a second. Felix, did you learn from Bobby? Is that how you learned?
I didn't learn from Bobby. I started in Perth under her sister Kim. So I had like my first instructor was one of the teachers that was working there. But then like I moved through the levels very quickly and was able to teach myself a lot. And then once I'd mastered everything, because I was a dancer before, I had a lot of like dance in me. And the moves that we were learning in syllabus were, like inside leg hook and outside leg hook. And it was like things that I could take to a more extreme level because of the training I already had. So the base moves, yes, I learned from the syllabus at Bobby's, but there was so much more that I created out of it because I had that facility in my body already.
Right. Yes, that makes sense. And side note, it was just really funny because I think a while after, I think it was Janine that was looking to kind of credit everybody for their moves. Obviously, you did the spatchcock and it was like shocking. And it was funny because Janine had been to my studio and stuff before, and I did the spatchcock, but so I used to do it when I was stripping, but I would do it from the floor. So I would do it from the floor through. And so Janine was like, do you have any video of when you did that when you were stripping? And I was like, oh, no, Felix can have it. I'm not even, no. Like, that's not even something. No, I don't want, no, Felix can have it.
No thanks. Yeah, but it's,
so I did get my name. I got the Tammy.
You got the Tammy.
What's the Tammy? I don't know the Tammy. What is the Tammy?
Because I did it at the World is when I kind of really just go upside down with one leg and hold on, and then I'm arching up. So it's your body is facing the pole and one leg is bent and you're kind of arched up. I don't know. It's in a lot of people's syllabus, and it's called the Tammy.
Okay. I'm going to have to search it up. Well, I think maybe because we're so far removed from the rest of the world in Australia, we're just like so far away from everyone else that
And we
maybe
probably
ours
there's
are a little
always
bit different. Because
there's
everyone
different
used to make up moves here, right? We used to make up our own names because there was no names back then when we started.
yeah. And I think that
Oh, yeah.
there's like different like vernacular in different countries all over the place. Like one country calls it this, one country calls it that, one country calls it So and I don't know if you've noticed as well traveling, Tammy, like the same move has like 100 different names.
I to be honest with you, I've never really taken anybody else's pole classes.
Really?
Yeah, it's just because I've just been so busy opening studios and running studios. I think, I went to PoleCon like way long ago, and took some workshops, but I've never actually gone to, you know what? Last year I went to Hawaii and I went to a pole studio in Hawaii. And it was the first time that I went to somebody else's pole studio and took some classes.
That's cool. We want to do that, don't we, Felix? We want to sneak into some classes and hide and be beginners.
And, like, be a beginner and just then get told that we're really good at pole dancing.
Yeah.
You're a natural. Thank you.
Yeah, I can get away with it. I don't know if you can, Felix. I don't know.
Well, Felix, good luck. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, people don't even know who I am in my own studio. It's the best
that's
thing.
true, actually.
I'm so old now that the newbies don't know who I am. It's wonderful. They ask me if I sometimes sit behind the desk and they ask me, "Oh, have you ever tried it?" And I go, "Yes, I have."
I love that. Well, and going back to the Jamaica competition, it was held at where was it held again? It was held at the
Hedonism 3.
And so there was a prude side and there was a nude side. And
was there?
Yeah,
really?
There was. And so there was
I don't remember the prude side.
You were the prude side.
You weren't on the prude side, okay? So this is where I'm going to remind you. You and me were naked running around on the nude side.
Oh, but not in the competition. You're talking about in the actual venue.
In the actual venue. Yeah.
Yeah, not the competition.
We were just running around naked. Do
you remember the water slide?
Yes. Yeah. Yes, I do. I remember a lot of things about that resort.
It must have been great because Felix is dying laughing.
It was so funny. It was so funny. There was just people having sex everywhere.
Really?
Just tell you, do not go in the hot tub. Okay, do not go in the hot tub in those places.
It was like there were things happening everywhere. And I remember Janine is so sweet. She's so she was so overwhelmed. I just remember her because we were running around naked way, embrace.
Yep.
And Janine was walking around with her hands like this, so she would only look at people in their eyes because she wanted to mute the rest of. So she had I don't know how to explain it.
Oh no! So my husband, he's very free as well. I remember him standing there, literally, doing the helicopter, and poor Janine was like, "Okay, see you guys tomorrow." It was funny. It was a good time. It
was so funny. I was like, wow, this is so wild.
It was a great way to really bond with each other.
Listen, yes, it was so funny. It was such a funny experience. I didn't know that because it's a swingers resort. I just didn't know that swingers resorts existed because I was quite young back then. I think I was 20 or 21. There was just a lot of things I didn't know about life. And then I was like, wow. Open the window, there's just this guy getting a head job from this woman. I was like, okay, close the windows. And then you go over there and there's more sex happening. It's just sex everywhere. It was wild.
Everywhere.
It was wild.
I'm going to go for a walk. And there's hammocks. Do you remember the hammocks? There's people just hanging away on the hammocks. I'm like, oh, okay.
And do you remember the stage was it wasn't it was open air. It was sort of not indoors, it was outdoors, and so it was really, really humid and slippery and hot, and everyone was having problems because it was so hot and slippery.
Yeah, I do. I see it right now. It was amazing. It was a good time.
It was the wild, wild west. It was
It was.
wild.
It was, but that was the golden era. Like that's
It
where
really
all
was.
the
Like, and it was, I think, probably my favorite. Like, it was so much fun. I just remember giggling so much. But the next world was like when Diana Bauman took over, and then
Yeah, I remember her.
it was like real serious. And it was no naked.
right. No naked.
There was no naked. Aw, yeah, so boring.
We were really embracing the origins of pole dance. That's all we were doing.
Yeah.
It was our ode. It was our ode to the strippers.
And it was so fun. It was so fun. So
And then there was the prude side, was there, like Janine?
Yeah. And us trying to lure her over to the nude side.
unsuccessful.
Oh my gosh. So what do they have for a rig there? Do they have a rig like what we have in a competition today? How do they hold the poles up?
That's a really great question. There's video. There's lots of video. I actually forget. Do you remember, Felix?
I don't remember. I remember there was some wire. So it would, I don't think there was a truss like we have.
No, I don't think so. I think they actually did. I think the stage was not like ridiculously high. I think it went right up into the ceiling
It may
somehow.
have gone into the ceiling. Yeah.
Interesting. We'll have to look into that because that's another thing, isn't it? Where do these poles get made? Who made them? How do we install them? All those sorts of things. Well, that comes back to, I guess, your studio, Tammy. So when you very first opened, if you were the very first person in Canada to open a studio, how did you know what to do? Where did you get your poles? What did you do?
And what year was it?
Yeah. So my studio opened in 2004. And believe it or not, I started teaching in 2003 for the University of British Columbia in the Alma Mater Society. It's so incredibly random.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like a guy that was running it, and he was like, he got a hold of me. He's like, we want to do something really fun for the students. Do you think you could teach like striptease, but without getting naked? And I was like, I could, but why don't I teach pole dance? I'm going to open my studio, so why don't I do that? And he was like, that sounds really great. So luckily my dad, he was a fisherman. So, and he was an engineer. So I was like, Dad, I don't really know what to do, but I have this opportunity. So he was like, well, because brass was kind of the pole of choice in all the strip clubs at that time. And so he's like, well, all it is really is just brass railing from ships. And so we went to a metal scrapyard and bought all of their long metal bars from ships. And he built like wooden stages. And so built like kind of, and that's how we started at UBC. And then in our studio, just the same thing. Obviously they weren't spinning, but they were 50 mil brass railings from ships. They were heavy.
Wow.
How did he connect them to the ceiling?
Well, if you think about a railing, it was the same thing. It's just that kind of circular, with screws in it. It was nothing.
And then straight up into the ceiling, just cut them exact.
Straight up into the ceiling, just cut them.
The flag. Yeah. Wow. That's so cool. So he made a stage pole.
He did.
For the original classes, and then
the original stage pole. Yeah, it was almost like a vice. So they were.
It must have been so heavy as well.
They were so incredibly heavy. We would leave them there at UBC and pull them out, and we'd be sweating before the class started. And the class was packed. I mean, we had like 10 stages with like 3 people on each stage. It went off. It was crazy. Yeah, in 2003, which was amazing.
How did you advertise that?
So they advertised through the university for that. For my studio, I was still stripping. So after my show, I'd see any women in the crowd and I would give them my card and tell them to come and learn how to pole dance.
Wow.
Yeah, I would walk around, I would hand out cards during the day, and then I would, teach at night, and then I'd go to the club and I'd strip because I didn't have enough money.
How many poles in your first studio?
I think about 12.
And did you have like one person per poll, or was it poll sharing?
So we have always, since day one, we've had one person per poll for the beginner levels. And then once you go upside down, we have two per poll maximum. Yeah. And we teach, spotting. But yeah, that should bring me to, because I was listening to the Susie Q podcast, and I would like to go back and just talk about Fanya, because I think there's a lot of, again, I don't want to downplay Fanya, because she started with her instructional videos, but she did not start the first pole studio. This is how it started for us on our side of the world. So, and I don't know if it's come up for you before, but Sheila Kelly. Do you know who Sheila Kelly is?
Yeah, of course. She's an actress. Yeah.
She is. So she actually was training for her role in Night at the Blue Iguana with Daryl Hannah. So she was training to be a stripper. She was getting trained by strippers, and she fell in love with it. And if you look back, her S Factor actually comes up as one of the very first studios to happen. And it was because of her. I think I was at home pondering life, and I saw an interview with her on Oprah, and she was teaching women.
I remember that interview. Yeah.
Yes. And then I was like, okay, I'd already been thinking about it, and I'm like, this is what's gonna happen. So and Fanya at that time lived in Canada. So Fanya's Canadian.
Yes,
I stripped with Fanya. So way before any of this happened. So I've known Fanya for a long time. I was in some of her instructional videos in the beginning. So she moved from Canada to Vegas, and she opened a pole studio after everything else. But I think people credit her as being the first because she had the instructional videos. And I think she was, the first to come out with instructional videos. And I think that's why that little bit of history gets confused.
So when did Sheila open her first studio? What year? We need the date.
Yeah, we do. We need the date.
Because if it was before Fanya opened hers, it would have had to have been 2002 or prior.
I just Googled it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sheila Kelly was the very first S Factor studio, the pioneering feminine movement and pole dancing studio in 2001 in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Wow.
She was absolutely the first. She was the first, and she inspired a lot of other people to open studios at that point.
Well, we're going to have to get Sheila on the podcast, aren't we?
Yeah,
you are.
And history,
again, I love Fanya. She's my Canadian girl. And actually, when I started stripping, I got a private lesson from her to get into my career. And so she is, obviously a pioneer as well, 100%. But when people say Fanya started it, I'm always very passionate about being like, well, she didn't actually.
Yeah. Love her, but let's get the facts right.
Yeah, yes. We need facts.
History to be correct.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. We're trying to get the pioneers on here. Now, we're not talking about influencers. We're very aware that pole influencers play a big part in pole dancing today. And, pole's gone a very different direction, but we're really passionate about getting the pioneers, getting the facts, knowing the history of pole. If we can get it from the horse's mouth, from the people who were there, that is literally how it is. And they're the people who started it. So, you can say whatever you like about who started it, and you might want to be right, and that's great. But the people who did start it is who we're going to be speaking to on this series of ours to find out the real history of it. So I think that's fascinating. We need to know, we need to know the facts behind how we all started. There's hundreds and thousands of us doing pole dancing now. Where did this come from? Why did it become so big? So it's really important to us, I think, to really know who did it. So that's very interesting information, because that's the very first time I've heard that. And is it the first time you've heard it, Felix?
Yes. Yeah. And I think I did know about S Factor, but I just didn't realize that it was predated pretty much every other pole studio. I wonder if it's the first in the world.
It may very well be. I mean, because I think that's exactly what happened. She fell in love with it because she learned it for her role, and she just felt it was amazing, and she wanted to teach regular women how to feel that same way. So, and then
They are very different to what we do, though. Have you seen the Netflix documentary on it?
No, I didn't watch it. I definitely know, like, even back then, it was very, very different
Yeah.
from, yeah, from how we do things. It was just a whole different, I think just coming from a whole different angle, um, which is great because, I think what we do encompasses that as well.
It's very different. They don't teach the tricks like we teach the tricks, and it's more about how you feel as a woman and trying to find your sexuality and feel confident in your own body. What they're teaching to what we're teaching is very, very different. So I did watch the documentary, and they even climb with two legs behind the pole. So the technique and all of those sorts of things is nothing like what we do. So, but
Totally.
it doesn't take it away from being the very first pole studio to teach pole classes, right?
And that's what I meant by I think we do the same thing. I meant, like, I think that we help empower, women to feel sexy and do all these things. Those are a byproduct of what, we all do, teaching the tricks. And I think that all comes with it. But she just kind of, I think that's her main focus. Yeah. Is the feeling behind it, where ours is the feeling behind what we teach is from teaching tricks.
Is it the one that doesn't have mirrors? Is that am I
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly right. There's no mirrors. No.
So it's So it's like, and I feel like we've said, like there's room for all of it. There's room for all of us, and there's so many styles and ways. And like some studios are more trick heavy, some studios are like definitely more somatic movement heavy, and it's all under one umbrella. But there's definitely different styles, types, ways of doing it. But yeah, I think it's great.
I mean, I think it also kind of answers the question, because I know you guys were talking about it, where it came from. And I think that, I think Susie, had a good point where she was like, I don't think we need to acknowledge it all the time. And I completely agree with that. Even though I was a stripper that opened a pole studio, I don't think we need to like hammer that into people, because a lot of people, they just really don't even care, right? They want to come and learn pole. I don't even think we need to. But what she did say was, that maybe it came from Chinese pole. But I think knowing where it came from with Sheila Kelly, learning from strippers, I think it is really safe to say that this came from the stripping industry. A lot of the moves now are inspired from Chinese pole, but nobody was sitting watching the circus and thought, I'm going to open a studio and teach women how to do this in heels. That just didn't happen. So, I mean, I think we can safely say this came from the industry. And
it's interesting because Sheila was not a stripper. And if she opened the very first pole studio in the world, she was an actress. She wasn't a stripper.
Yep.
So
but she learned from strippers.
Of course, she learned from, well, a lot of people did learn from strippers, but a lot of people learn from, now to this day, most are. It does take us back to the very first pole studio. It was opened by somebody who wasn't.
Yeah, it's true.
And I think it also makes sense then to why our industry was and is such a female-dominated industry, right? Like, we're one of the very few industries that are female-dominated. And it makes sense then, if we take it back to it being created with that in mind, like for women feeling feminine. And of course, I'm not saying that pole dancing is only for women, and if you don't identify as a woman, you can't do it. That's absolutely not what I'm saying. But this sort of, there's a very strong feminine energy, I think, around that. And I think that is not accidental.
No, I would agree.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it's funny.
Uncovering truths.
Well, and there's this whole push of like, we have to acknowledge. But it's funny because it's like, so it's crazy because I don't have a lot of time, but I actually manage a strip bar now. It's my opportunity to kind of give back to the industry. And a lot of the girls that are stripping came through pole dancing into stripping. So it's kind of like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like one day, is it the chicken or the egg? I mean, when they might have to thank the pole industry for the stripping industry at some point.
Yeah.
Well, Felix did. That's how she got into it.
Yeah. Definitely. I started dancing first, and then I went to the strip clubs.
I mean, that's basically how it's happening now. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's a strip. They want to come and learn first and then go into the strip club. Where Bobby, myself, we didn't have anyone to teach us.
When you suggested you did the iguana, like that's still a big move today. You know what I mean? So
It
if
is.
you're doing that like over 20 years ago, you would have been a good trickster back then.
Yeah. I was doing handstands and iguanas and you know, stuff like that. I mean, we were doing that on stage. We weren't doing.
I'd love to know who came up with that shocking name, iguana. I've always hated that name. Who came up with the name iguana?
It's because Sheila Kelly,
yeah,
from the Blue, and
Yeah.
I think that was in the movie. I think she was learning that trick or something.
Oh, the blue iguana.
Yes.
It's called, wow, look at this. Look at this information we're getting.
Yep.
I love that. Yeah. Oh, that's so interesting, isn't it?
I've actually never seen the blue iguana. I want to go back.
No, I haven't either, but I know the move because I had a picture in my old pole studio of her doing that iguana move. She had one leg bent and one leg straight, and I copied it, and I'll never forget that move because it just looked so cool.
Yeah.
And then, you know, kind of like Felix did to the spatchcock, then Janine Butterfly came out and then did the iguana, and everyone was like, okay.
Yeah,
there
she
was
did
that
like a plant. Yeah,
exactly. I think it was maybe one of the, you know, not one of the first viral pole videos was her doing that. And
yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah,
wild.
We need to get Janine on.
Yeah,
Janine's get on for sure. For sure. Yeah. So tell us about what you had to do to open your first pole studios, how many you've opened, and where you're at with it now.
Yeah. So I've opened 7. So I have 3 in Vancouver right now, and then I am opening one right now. I'm probably 3 weeks away in Tempe, Arizona. So I have relocated to the US from Canada. I still own the Canadian companies. But I've closed 3. So I've opened and I've closed studios. You know, wonderful learning lessons as we go. It's not always super easy, but you know, gosh, compared to the beginning, I mean, I remember even in the beginning, I remember walking in, I was all excited. I first, you know, opened my studio and I had my cards and it was me on a pole. And I walked into Lululemon and I was like, oh, I just opened up a studio. Can you put this on your community board? And they're all like, oh yeah, of course. And I grab it and they're like, oh yeah, you know, this isn't really part of our mantra, and gave it back. And I remember thinking like, really? And this is something that I have been all my life. And that's when I face rejection. I'm like, I'll show you. And so a few years later, I pushed and pushed and I became an ambassador for Lululemon, and they put a giant picture of me doing a double knee hold on a light post in their Robson Street, which is a huge street in Vancouver. A big picture of me as an ambassador on the wall. So, so the only reason I tell that story is because even with those studios I closed, I was always like, you know what I mean? I will open another one to replace it every single time. And here I am in Arizona now, opening another one. So yeah, we'll see where this takes me.
Oh, all of the best luck with that. It's always such a great adventure, isn't it, opening a new business? And sorry, it's just nothing to do with pole dancing, but that sunset behind you is absolutely
yes, I know. I was thinking that too.
Like I was so just like distracted by this rainbow behind you. It's glorious.
That's Arizona. So if you ever want to come and visit Arizona, you come on over. Got a pool.
You've got pool, you've got poles, you've got sunsets, you've got everything.
Not at all. Not at all. Maybe we should do a pole camp here in Arizona.
Done. Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, I know in September there is I think there's a pole convention here. So that'll be exciting.
Beautiful. How exciting.
Yeah.
Go just for the sunsets and poles. What more do you want?
That's exactly right. So you've still got 3 studios in Canada and now you're opening a 4th one in Arizona. What made you move there?
I mean, I think that just Canada in general has some issues right now. Everything from our taxes. Yeah. I don't know if you know much about Canada, but I mean, we pay about 46% in taxes.
Yeah, I think we pay more. Australia's terrible with taxes.
Really? Yeah. So, I mean, I think that Canadians are really underrepresented in the pole industry. Like, I feel like, so when I was running Miss Pole Dance Canada, I remember Tara Meyer coming and competing. And I don't know if you know who that is, but
You do, yeah.
yeah, she's probably one of the only ones that came out of Canada that was really recognizable. And I think she got in with X-Pole and kind of came over into the US. I know she's in the US now, in Reno, but really hard. And there was some really great talent in Canada. But you talk about Australia being on the other side of the world. I mean, we're right above the US, but yet it's really hard to be represented here. So, I mean, this is one of the reasons why we're here, because I think that there's a bigger opportunity in the US market than there is in the Canadian market.
Yeah.
And I'm getting old, so I've got like maybe a couple studios left in me. And then, I've got
still got a couple more though. That's good.
Pardon?
Still got a couple more to open. That's good, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if this one goes well, I might open another one here. But, I've got 3 kids. I've got 3 studios. I'm managing a strip bar. I'm like,
we've all got 3 kids. We're the 3 kid mums here.
Magic number. How old are your kids?
Oh, mine are older now. They're 10, 13, and 16.
But they're still kids.
They're still kids. Yeah. They are.
Elle's
they still
on the other side. She's holding the light, the guiding light for all of us, because she's like, mine are big guys now.
Adults. I've got all adults. Yeah. Which is nice. They all drive me around now, which is great.
Perfect. So how old are yours?
So mine are 18, 20, and 22.
Wow. So, you don't even look old enough to have adult children.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You started young? I started late.
How old were you when you did first?
36.
Oh, yeah, this was like Felix.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And I had my last when I was 42.
Wow. How old are you now?
52.
Oh, yeah, very similar. You look amazing for 52.
Thank you. It's all the I always.
I'm telling you.
I was just going to say that.
Yes.
I always credit it. Do you have those machines where they stick your feet in there and hang you upside down?
Yes, exactly right.
Who needs that?
The inversion machines. We just go pole dancing and we can, maintain our muscle and our youth. Well, so I'm 53, so we're like almost the same age.
But, you look fantastic. I would have absolutely thought you were younger than me.
I tell everyone it's pole dancing and red light masks.
It is. I mean, think about it. Gravity is like making everybody saggy, but if we're hanging upside down half of our lives, right? We're countering that. Yes.
Yeah. If you're listening to this and you don't pole dance and you want to stay youthful, pole dance.
Yes. Pole dance. Any benefit? I think one of the things that helps us is our activity is always inside and usually in the dark. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no sun damage to us.
No sun damage, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I wish I could say that, but I do. I have a sun damage problem. I love the sun. Arizona's good for me, but I think it's just, you're in Australia. It's sunny like most of the time, is it not?
Yeah, but it burns us to hell. So we don't usually lie in it. There's not many people who come in Australia and just lay in the sun. You'll be literally burnt to a crisp. So most people have got a lot of sunscreen on or don't stay outside for too long.
Right. We're in Vancouver anyway. It just rains like 9 months of the year. So by the time the sun comes, we're so desperate for sun that we lay in it for 3 months and just burn ourselves to a crisp and just hope it stays. And then it starts raining again. So
we're big fake tanners over here.
Oh, that's better for you though.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know. So I know with my kids, that's why I had to shove them all out the door because they don't know that I was a stripper. So I'm like,
wow, really?
Yeah, it's a really hard thing because my children go to a private Christian school. And so, my 16-year-old, I think when she was 15, last year, 15, 14, somewhere. Anyway, she came home and she was like, Mom, I told all my friends that you teach pole dancing. And I was like, okay. She's like, yeah, my friend, it was a female, says you're a legend. She's like, that's amazing. She's so cool. And she's like, but the boys, they were like, what is she, a stripper? It was just so interesting to see, even at a young age, young teenage boys, how there's such a different reaction between the females and the males, even at that age, which is interesting.
Wild.
Yeah,
But
my kids were teased by it at school quite a lot. Like they were like quite very, very heavily teased. And like I was not ever a stripper, but it didn't matter because I was a pole dancer. So then the kids used to tease them. And then they started coming to my school. Their school, it was like very expensive private school. Their head of PE was one of my students. And she's like, oh, I'm going to bring the kids. Yeah, I'm going to bring the kids and we're going to do pole and we're going to do aerials at your studio. And then everything changed. But before that, they were actually very, heavily teased because of it. So have your kids experienced that?
not so much, not really.
Okay.
But I mean, of course, I was like, do you even know what a stripper is? And she's like, yeah, and I don't want to talk about it. And I was like, okay. And I just kind of left it because I wasn't really ready.
Oh,
It wasn't
interesting.
really, I didn't really have a plan. I'm not going to lie to her.
Yeah.
But how do you balance that? Like I don't want to glorify it because it wouldn't necessarily be the path I would choose for her.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I think it was, I'm so grateful that I have been on this path. I feel like I was meant to teach pole dancing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want to glorify it, but I don't want to make it seem like it's, an awful industry because, it's what you make out of it. So, I don't even know what I'm going to say to her yet. I still haven't figured it out. I think she probably knows, but she just doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. If she's
Yeah.
16,
Yeah.
yeah, she'd have to know, surely, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
And if she's Googled me at all, yeah,
as if she wouldn't have. Yeah, you're her mum.
there's some things on Google that are questionable.
Yeah. Well, let's speak about that, shall we? Because this is really interesting. Now, all I know, I've been told, and Felix doesn't know this at all, but you were the stripper to break up